Yo, what is good, people? Ben from Lover of Tech, and we are back with another video. This time, camera comparison. Pixel 9 Pro XL versus the iPhone 15 Pro Max versus the Galaxy S24 Ultra. And this is gonna be a huge one. And we are pretty much gonna be testing everything in daylight, low light for pictures and videos for the rear cameras and the front-facing cameras. So sit back, relax, and let's get into this camera comparison. Okay, let's kick things off with analyzing the photos between the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. And yes, we know Apple have put their official invite out for the 9th of September for the replacement of the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which we're assuming should be the iPhone 16 Pro Max. But for now, this is the stopgap camera comparison we have between these flagship devices. So yeah, this will be a detailed, definitive one. So definitely sit back, relax, get your meal, get your popcorn, get your drink, because this will be a detailed one. And of course, just a public service announcement reminder that we are running a giveaway for one lucky subscriber to win a brand new Pixel 9 Pro XL up until the 25th of September 2024. The full details for the giveaway is actually in our battery drain test video for the Pixel 9 Pro XL, which will be linked in the description below. The cards above right now on this video, as well as the end card, so check it out for a chance to win. Now, the first set of images that we're going to be going through is the landscape shots without me in the frame as the subject. And of course, we're going to be starting from the outside and working our way furthest in. And we're doing this with the ultra wide. Already what you can see is that the ultra wide perspective on the Pixel on the iPhone is definitely slightly wider than what you're seeing on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. And in fact, the Pixel actually looks slightly wider compared to the other two, which is a good look, and it's exactly what you want from an ultra wide angle camera. So that's a great look from it. And of course, it is 48 megapixels and pixel binning, and you can do high resolution images for JPEG as well as RAW with the ultra wide as well. So it's great flexibility to see, and I really like the look of it as well compared to the other two. But honestly, all three of them are doing well. I actually prefer the Pixel when it comes to the image here. Let's move over to the main 1x sensor, and we can see a consistency in terms of the colors as we're going through, which is something I really appreciate about the cameras. And I would say that the color tone is still something that I do like from what I'm seeing on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. But you know what? You can easily say a lot of what you're seeing between the iPhone and the Samsung is very similar. I would say that the Samsung probably makes it a much more slightly saturated or maybe a more contrasty based image that might be preferred. So it's really down to what you like. Now, when we go to the 2x zoom, this is doing a digital crop and a main wide sensor, so we're still not in a full optical range yet, but this should be something that is good. Now, what I'm not liking about the Pixel is when you look at the fences, there is some color shifting and moire that you're seeing there, whereas things are a lot more consistent on the iPhone and the Galaxy. Now, I would say I probably like the iPhone a bit more just because the shadow detail on the hedges next to the fence look much more, pleasing to the eye. But yeah, I'll probably give it to the iPhone in this particular situation. Now 3x. 3x is where it's meant to optically favor what you're seeing on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. The Pixel and the iPhone don't have that mid-range optical tele lens, so this is something that is going to favor a bit more on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. The problem is, though, in terms of how it looks, I don't think it looks as good as it should for the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Personally, I think Samsung needs to really rearrange all their camera hardware and just make them all 50 megapixels, or just keep them in a parity, and obviously improve the f-stop as we're going there. So just something to consider as we're looking at in that particular situation. Now 5x is where it's meant to optically favor all of these cameras. So in this particular situation, I'm looking at it and all of them are performing really well. I definitely like the Pixel in terms of the shadow detail. It's looking really good. Then followed by the iPhone, which is actually matching very, very close to it. The detail on the Pixel is actually really good. And obviously the Galaxy S24 Ultra is looking decent as well, but I prefer what I'm seeing on the Pixel and the iPhone. Now we're really starting to get into the extended zoom ranges as we're going through, and the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra, as well as the Pixel 9 Pro XL, are holding their own really well. Now what I can see at 10x is the iPhone 15 Pro Max is looking a bit more grainy and falling apart. The Pixel and the Galaxy S24 Ultra definitely are the ones that are holding their own. And in fact, in some cases, by the looks of it, I'm actually liking what I'm seeing on the Pixel, so I think the Pixel takes it here. Now, when we go further into the extended zoom, maximum zoom that you're seeing on the iPhone is 25x compared to 30x on a Pixel and 30x on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Of course, the S24 Ultra can go to 100x, but you're gonna see it's not really something you should be doing too much. Anything beyond 30x, maybe up to 50x, you should be fine. of course, what you're seeing here, again, the Pixel definitely takes it. This sign is very difficult in terms of resolving the text and the image, but you can see it a lot clearer on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Now, of course, although this is the maximum zoom in the Pixel 9 Pro XL, there is the zoom enhance feature where you can actually crop in and it enhances it and adds detail. This is very situational dependent, and it really depends on how well it works, but it's something you can explore. And when it works, it's great, but when it doesn't, it kind of looks very artificial. But in this situation, Pixel 9 Pro XL is looking good in extended zoom. Now, as demonstrated, 100x, you're seeing that on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, but really and truly, it's something I think you should stick around 30 to 50 at a maximum. And yeah, that's something that you have to pretty much take into consideration. Now, this shot here is of the homeboy Daniel. He was pretty much just, hanging about, we're just chilling and just pretty much showing how the extended zoom at maximum range works on a human being. You can see that it's a very difficult one to get right. So even at 100x, again, really not that usable. So you kind of want to stick to that 10, 15, 20x, around there. But I would say that the Pixel is the one that probably looks the best out of all of them. So just wanted to showcase that. Let's move to the front-facing camera for some selfies. And instantly, one thing I'm really loving about the new Pro phones from Google with the Pixel 9 Pro XL and the Pixel 9 Pro is the new 42 megapixel sensor. It's not just because of the high resolution, but it's the field of view. Look at how wide it is. This is incredible level of flexibility. And of course, selfies are good for if you're doing it not just for yourself, but with a group of people. So having this ultra wide perspective, this probably ends up being one of my favorite selfie cameras that I've seen to date. Of course, 42 megapixels, it is pixel binning down to 10 megapixels, but this is great flexibility. I love what I'm seeing here. Google knocked out of the park, the best image out of all of them. Now, when we go to portrait mode, all of them actually do okay, but in this particular situation, the Galaxy S24 Ultra does well when it comes to the edge detection, in my opinion, especially around my facial hair, my beard and stuff, then followed by the Pixel and then the iPhone 15 Pro Max. What I still don't like about iPhones is that when you go into portrait mode, it crops the field of view a bit more. But if you actually take a normal selfie with the correct field of view being as wide as possible, you can then go into the edit afterwards and change it to a portrait image. So that might be best to just get the best field of view from the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now let's look at some macro shots and also the minimum focus and distance that we get with the iPhone, as well as the Pixel 9 Pro XL and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Now, one thing about the iPhones is that their minimum focusing distance isn't really all that great when it comes to the main wide sensor. Of course, we've got the Funko Pop of Lando Calrissian, and this particular situation, if we go in, you can see that the Pixel and the Galaxy S24 Ultra have a much better minimum focusing distance when you want to use the main wide sensor. Now, for the effect of obviously having a larger sensor where you want the natural depth and background blur and the highest image quality that's going to be given with the main sensor, this is a great advantage. Whereas this is something that the iPhones have been suffering since the iPhone 14 series, to my knowledge, when they increased the main sensor to 48 megapixels from what we're seeing. This is where macro mode really helps. And the funny thing is, the macro mode on the iPhone really pulls very close compared to the others. Now, the others do a great job when it comes to macro mode, but the iPhone is something where it almost feels like it's infinitely getting closer and closer and closer. So when it comes to detailed shots like this, the iPhone really benefits from macro mode, especially considering the poor minimum focusing distance on the main wide sensor. Last set of daylight images with the rear camera, finally with me in the frame as the subject. Now, a bit of feedback. Do you think I should be doing these pictures with me first and then doing the landscape images after, or are you happy with the order? Let me know in the comment section below. But with that out of the way and without digressing, I'll definitely say in this particular situation, the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra trade blows. And in fact, I would actually say the iPhone is slightly behind what I'm seeing on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. In terms of how the sky is managed, I feel like the Pixel didn't manage it anyway as well as what it did from the others, but the detail is very good on me as a subject. And actually, in terms of the skin tone, the Pixel 9 Pro XL really takes it well. But overall, I do like what I'm seeing on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Now, when we move over to the main wide 1x sensor, this is where things change up a little bit. I do like the look of the Pixel 9 Pro XL, but I do feel like the skin tones are a little bit more red this time around than they should. The skin tones on the iPhone 15 Pro Max are actually good, but still slightly darker than they should, especially the compromised shadow detail around my face, whereas the Galaxy S24 Ultra is a little bit softer. It's a hard one to really pick in this particular situation. I would say that the iPhone for me personally is the one that takes it for this particular shot. Now, when we go over to the main 2x sensor, things are still very much the same when it comes to the consistency of the colors all around, but detail wise, for some reason, it slightly improves better on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, so I'm liking what I'm seeing there. But of course, the iPhone does look good, but again, the shadow detail loss around my face makes me look darker than I should. Whereas the Pixel 9 Pro XL, my skin tone is a little bit more on the red side than I would actually prefer. So yeah, that's just something to consider. Now, going into the 3x zoom lens, this should optically be favoring what we're seeing on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, and it indeed does. The others actually resolve a good image, but I would say that the less detailed one is definitely going to be slightly on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, but I will still take it just based on the exposure detail. I still just don't like how the shadow details are a lot darker and lost on my iPhone 15 Pro Max. Maybe it's more of a natural look, but again, I would love that brought up a little bit more. Now, 5x is where it's optically favoring all of them with their dedicated zoom lens, and in this situation, the Pixel 9 Pro XL looks sharp and tacked, but I do like what I'm seeing in terms of the overall look of the iPhone 15 Pro Max, even though the shadow detail isn't as great as I would like. So again, it makes me revert back to the Pixel 9 Pro XL because the detail here looks phenomenally good compared to the others. Portrait mode, and in this particular situation, you can see that the field of view crop on the Pixel 9 Pro XL is more at 1.5x, so it is something that actually really becomes a lot more aggressive. I would say in recent years, the portrait mode experience on Pixels have not really been up to par. When I say the experience, the others will show you a live preview of the background blur happening. With the Pixel, you still have to go through this old school notion of not seeing a live preview of your background blur as you're taking it. You then take it, you kind of have to trust it to work, and sometimes it just completely does not work at all, let alone missing it. In this situation, the background blur is a lot more aggressive and artificial. I would say that the others are a lot more subtle, but in some cases, you would probably say that the Pixel is probably looking the best and doing a good job. Now, when we go for the 2x zoom range, yeah, things are still very tough across the board for these devices. I would say that the Galaxy S24 Ultra definitely nails it when it comes to the edge detection, and then the natural background blur look on the iPhone is something that I still really think favors a much more better look to realism. And obviously with the Pixel 9 Pro XL, it does look a bit artificial, but it still nailed it, especially with the gaps in between my arms. Now, when we go into the 5x zoom range for the portrait mode, this is something that you have on the Galaxy S24 Ultra as well as the iPhone 15 Pro Max. But again, S24 Ultra has the benefit of the 3x optical zoom stopgap once you have it there. Now the Pixel, it doesn't allow you to actually use the 5x, but again, you can take a normal 5x image, go into the edit and change it to a portrait image if it allows you to blur the background accurately. That's if. So it can be a hit and miss, but this is a solution around it. Again, you can do it for the other devices as well, but they do natively allow you to do this with their optical sensors, which is great to see. So I would say that when it comes to the 5x, yeah, Pixel is something that is lacking. The others do have it. So portrait mode on the others definitely gives you way more flexibility on that side. Lights off, let's look at some low light images between the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Now, as you know, with what I usually do with my definitive camera comparisons, or actually if this is your first time here, you appreciate the detail and the effort that we put into these camera comparisons, then be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future definitive camera comparisons and videos on the Lover of Tech channel. Road to 100k subscribers for 2024 or no later than mid-2025, but let's try and do it this year. It's gonna be a lot of hard work, but with your help, it's definitely possible. And of course, just a friendly reminder, go check out the giveaway for the Pixel 9 Pro XL in our battery drain test video up until the 25th of September 2024. You don't want to miss that chance. What I tend to do is with the low light images, take them without night mode active and then with night mode active and then flash where applicable. This is to see the difference in terms of the image quality, but also the shooting experience, because with night mode, The long exposure, yes, it can produce better results, but it can actually be very hindering to the shooting experience, whereas without night mode, it's much more instantaneous, as well as flash also being a bit more instantaneous as well. So let's run through it. First of all, we're going to go through the landscape images without me in the frame, and we're going to do this without night mode first, and we're starting with the ultra wide angle camera. And I have to say, as much as the ultra wide angle camera is something of a challenge across all of them, the Pixel runs away with it. I really like the image without night mode, and of course Pixel Billing is definitely helping with the high resolution sensor that's there. So yeah, Pixel all the way when it comes to the ultra wide angle camera, then followed by the Galaxy S24 Ultra, and then the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Let's move over to the main 1X sensor, and the main wide sensor is clean across the board. Now, the Galaxy looks to have really tamed the magenta color shifting that happens around street lamps, so I'm glad to see it, but there is still little remnants of it. I would say the Pixel is the cleanest out of all of them, so Google are doing a great job here without night mode. So yeah, definitely like what I'm seeing on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. 2X zoom, again, the image being resolved on the Pixel definitely is the clearest and the cleanest without night mode. This is great. And then followed by the Galaxy S24 Ultra, although the caveat of the slight magenta shift around the lights, and then followed by the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now 3X, what's great about the Galaxy S24 Ultra in my opinion is if you download the camera assistant extension, which I still feel like it should just come built in already, you can stop the camera system from forcing itself still using the main wide sensor to crop at nighttime. You can actually allow it to still use the optical sensors. Now, I've done it in such a way where it's using the optical 3X sensor, and again, it's a smaller sensor with a lower f-stop, so the image quality without night mode isn't going to be as great, so you might want to still enable it. But in this situation, I love the flexibility that Samsung gives you to allow it to still use the optical lenses. Now, the others are still doing a digital crop because they don't have a dedicated optical zoom lens in this range. So they're gonna perform better in this situation. And again, in my opinion, the Pixel is running away with it in terms of the processing and the image quality. 5X optical zoom. And again, in this situation, it is gonna be naturally a lot darker on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, but I prefer the flexibility that allows me to still use that lens, because when doing this camera comparison, I can really show you how night mode improves it as we go along when we're comparing it. And again, in this particular situation, it's the Pixel 9 Pro XL all the way for all the shots without night mode. So good luck on this one, Google. Like 50 Cent would say, let's run it back. Night mode now, and you can instantly see the improvement difference to night mode across all of them. It's a huge difference maker, especially for the ultra wide. Highly recommend using it, but I would say even without night mode, the Pixel 9 Pro XL, as you saw before, really runs it back very good. So yeah, night mode is a winner across all of them. Definitely the improvement is noticeable. Now we'll go over to the main 1X. In some ways, I feel like night mode overpowers the main wide sensor on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. It's not a bad thing, it's good, better have it than not. But yeah, it's an improvement across the board. And in some cases, I feel like you can almost get away without night mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, but it does clean up the image and really do a good job across all of them. Now 2X zoom, yeah, in this particular situation, it is hard to nail it for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. We did multiple takes and it did have a slightly softer image, but the exposure is good in this particular situation. It's the Galaxy S24 that looks the best in my opinion, so it takes it here, yes, still with the caveat of the magenta shift around the streetlights. Let's go over to the 3X zoom lens. Now what we're seeing here is the difference in improvement for the 3X zoom lens on the S24 Ultra when it comes to using night mode. So it's definitely something that is highly recommended. In some cases, I feel like the Pixel 9 Pro XL doesn't even need it because it low-key overpowers it. So it's more of a good thing about the Pixel not needing night mode. You're gonna get a much more instantaneous shot, but it's good to have it there. You don't have to use the maximum and just use the auto mode. And the 5X zoom lens for the Galaxy S24 Ultra, I feel like this is still a processing image issue that is still there, where it just blows out the colors, especially for green foliage, where although the exposure is really improved, yeah, it looks kind of just crazy. Whereas on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, it looks clean mint and it does look the best out of the three. then followed by the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Let's flip to the front-facing camera for some selfies between the Pixel 9 Pro XL, iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Again, running through the motion where we're going to do it without night mode, then with night mode, and then with the front screen flash, and then run it back with portrait mode. And already, without night mode active, Pixel all the way. Google have done a fantastic job on this new 42 megapixel selfie. Again, Pixel bending down to 10 megapixels, but the field of view, the image quality, this is by far the best out of all of them. It's going to be the Pixel, then the S24 Ultra, and then the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, when we activate night mode again, all of them improve greatly, especially the iPhone. The iPhone 100% needs selfie for the night mode to actually really get a good image out of all of them. That improves greatly for the S24 Ultra. The Pixel 9 Pro XL, in my personal opinion, it's in a league of its own when it comes to the ultra wide field of view and the image with night mode. Great look. Now the front screen flash as well, I do again like what I'm seeing on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Now the iPhones have had this notorious thing where the image still looks grainy, even though the exposure improves a little bit, and then the Galaxy S24 Ultra strikes a great balance where, in a stylistic way, it is probably the preferred, but yeah, for me, it's the Pixel 9 Pro XL all the way. Now let's run it back. The flexibility that you get in portrait mode is definitely favored on the Pixel and the Galaxy S24 Ultra compared to the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, in terms of the blur and the look, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is actually doing a good job, whereas the blur on the Pixel 9 Pro XL is not all that great. It's still good enough, but compared to the other two, they really nail it well, even on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Now, one limitation on the iPhone 15 Pro Max is that you can't do night mode with portrait mode on a selfie at the same time. The next step has to be the flash. So again, when it comes to the flexibility, it's going to be the Pixel and the Galaxy S24 Ultra all the way, and I prefer what I'm seeing on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. But in terms of the background blur and the look, yeah, I would say that the colors are actually better on the S24 Ultra. Even though the field of view is not as wide, I do like the colors, and the blur look is much more pleasing to the eye. Now, when we go to the front screen flash, this is where you can actually activate it with portrait mode for the selfie on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. But in my opinion, it just does not look good at all. So in this one, the iPhone is out. It's the Pixel 9 Pro XL all the way next to the Galaxy S24 Ultra. And in this particular situation, I'm taking the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Last set of low light images with the rear camera with me in the frame as the subject. And of course, we're going to run it back without night mode, then flash where applicable, since there is a human in the frame as the subject. And of course, like I've said it, for the ultra wide, not just because of the ultra wide field of view, but the performance without night mode, the Pixel 9 Pro XL wins it. And it's probably my new favorite ultra wide on the main camera. Whatever they've done to the processing this time around, even compared to the Pixel 8 Pro, it's such an improvement. And of course, later on, I will actually, hopefully, when I get time, do a 4-way camera comparison with the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the 8 Pro, the 7 Pro, and even going all the way back to the 2021 6 Pro from Pixel. So stay tuned for that and stay locked and subscribed. In this situation, it's the Pixel all the way for the ultra wide. It's the best one, no doubt. We'll go over to the main 1X sensor. Again, it's the Pixel that takes it. The image on the iPhone is quite soft. The iPhone compared to the Samsung is actually doing a very good job. But for me, it's the Pixel 9 Pro XL all the way. Now we'll go over to the 2X zoom lens. They do all start falling apart, but the Pixel is the one that holds the image much better compared to what you're seeing on the iPhone. The iPhone is definitely the worst, then followed by the Galaxy S24 Ultra, and then the Pixel 9 Pro XL is the best one yet. And then we'll go to the 3X zoom. Of course, again, this isn't doing a crop in the main wide sensor. This is using a dedicated 3X zoom on the S24 Ultra. And again, in low light situations, it definitely needs night mode to perform the best it can. So in this situation, again, it's the Pixel because it's resolving the image really good. Whereas in terms of the detail, it's nice and clear on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, but the image in terms of the colors and exposure, not so much. 5X again, in this situation, it is the Pixel. The image on the iPhone is very soft, whereas although it is not all that grainy on the S24 Ultra, the exposure is not all that great, whereas the Pixel, yeah, it's doing a good job. Now, I didn't check it, but I'm maybe suspecting it probably is still cropping in on the main wide sensor. It might have not switched to the optical zoom, so just bear that in mind. Unlike the Samsung, there isn't a setting that allows you to switch between using the main as well as obviously the zoom. In this case, the Samsung is still using the zoom, so I do like the flexibility and appreciate that, so we can see the difference between the two without night mode and night mode. And with that being said, let's go in again, running it back with night mode on. And of course, the improvement to the ultra wide for night mode is definitely prevalent. on the iPhone and the Samsung. And in this case, the iPhone is looking really good. But for me, the Pixel is just the best one. The colors and everything are nailed to perfection. So this is a good look from Pixel when it comes to the ultra wide with night mode. We'll go over to the main 1X sensor. Again, greatly improved across the board. The image is slightly soft on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. And again, this is when we take it multiple times, you see that this is the struggle with night mode in terms of long exposure. Images becoming blurry and fuzzy, as well as light bleed as well. So in this particular situation, yeah, I would definitely say the Pixel 9 Pro XL and the iPhone 15 Pro Max really looking good. Preferred again is the Pixel. Now we'll go over to the 2X zoom mode. Here's where things really start to shape up and are still favoring with night mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, but the iPhone 15 Pro Max actually improves in a good way. So this is something to take into consideration. Google have really nailed it here. Now we'll go to the 3X zoom lens. You can see the improvement to the 3X on the Galaxy S24 Ultra this time around. So especially for the 3X, it does need night mode for really to get the best performance. So that's something to consider. But again, I do like what I'm seeing on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, but the Galaxy S24 Ultra takes it evenly close to it as well. Now 5X, all of them really have a good improvement. But again, the color processing with night mode on a 5X on the Galaxy S24 Ultra is not good at all. This is something that Samsung need to really address in terms of the image processing. 5X with night mode on that lens, it's not all that great. Whereas on the Pixel, perfect. And then obviously with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, it is slightly warmer, but again, it does look way better than what you're seeing. Last set, and this is with Flash Active. One thing I'm still gonna drill away, Samsung does not allow you to use the ultra wide with the flashlight when taking pictures. And this is getting to the point where they just need to do a software update and allow this to happen. So Samsung, by the off chance you're watching this, update the software to allow us to use the flash with the ultra wide. It's very simple, very useful for when you're in low light situations and you want to be doing group pictures with the ultra wide with people in there. Yes, sometimes the flash is better. And as you can see, the flash on the Pixel 9 Pro XL with the ultra wide is on point. And as powerful as things are with the flash, especially how it pulsates on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, it doesn't match what we're seeing on the Pixel with the ultra wide. So good luck on Google for this particular one. Now, when we go over to the main 1X sensor, then you can use the flash with the Galaxy S24 Ultra. The iPhone's flash is powerful and it really extends. But in this case, yeah, the Pixel is really holding it well. I would say this particular one is between the Pixel and the iPhone. Now, in some cases, people would probably prefer the subtle flash look that fills the light around me as well as me as a subject on the S24 Ultra. So that could be preferred. But in terms of the power and the clarity, the Pixel definitely looks good next to the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now let's go to the 3X zoom range. Things start to soften up a bit on the iPhone. Yes, the flash is very powerful, but the actual final image doesn't look as good as what we're seeing in the Pixel 9 Pro XL. And even in some cases, the subtle look and the image clarity on the iPhone compared to the Galaxy S24 Ultra, the S24 Ultra looks better. Moving over to the 3X zoom range, yeah, things start to fall apart a lot more on the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra, but the integrity of the image on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, yeah, it's the Pixel all the way, people. Can't say much more. Google have nailed it and are getting it right with these images in these scenarios. So yeah, it's the Pixel again. Now we'll go to the 5X zoom lens. Yeah, things do fall apart on all of them. The flash doesn't really extend that far on a Samsung, so it's really out of the picture. Even though it's not grainy, the exposure isn't there. Now, although the exposure is there for the iPhone 15 Pro Max, the image is just muddy and soft, so it doesn't look good. Now, the image processing is very, very digital on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, but at least in terms of the balance of the exposure and the colors, it's there. So with slight tuning, yeah, Google, you pretty much nailed this one. So I'll still give it to you for this particular round. Portrait mode, and we're pretty much going to be running it through again without night mode active, then night mode where applicable on the lenses that it allows you to, and then flash. And in this particular situation, you're going to see a lot more quirks and odd limitations on the iPhone side compared to the others. So let's run it through. First, about night mode. And in this particular situation, all of them do a very good job. And considering this is low light without night mode, this is fantastic results across all of them. Which one do I prefer? Okay, looking at it from a snapshot, Samsung, iPhone, and then the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Now, that's just more because of the field of view of the Pixel 9 Pro XL, but the Pixel 9 Pro XL, it gets it right. So in some ways, it could actually be the Pixel 9 Pro XL the Galaxy S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Which order would you pick? Let me know in the comment section below. Now we'll go into the 2x zoom. Yeah, things fall apart on pretty much all of them. The edge detection on the Pixel is a lot more aggressive around my head, so I'd actually give it to the Galaxy S24 Ultra here, then the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and then the Pixel 9 Pro XL. But the image in terms of how muddy it is on the iPhone doesn't make me like it too much, so in some cases it can be S24 Ultra, Pixel 9 Pro XL, and of course the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now 3X, again, the flexibility that you're getting here with the Pixel is nowhere near to what you're getting on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. The S24 Ultra, in terms of the image processing away, is the best when it comes to it, especially with the mid-range zoom that you have. And of course, the iPhone 15 Pro Max goes straight to 5X. When we go to 5X in this particular situation, this is something where the iPhone, it really just falls apart when it comes to the image quality. So just bear that in mind. This is where you want to be. And for the Galaxy S24 Ultra, the 5X wasn't working for portrait mode in low light. So yeah, just something to consider. Night mode is now active with portrait mode. And just to put it out there, one caveat that you get with the iPhone 15 Pro Max is you can only do night mode with the 1X sensor and portrait mode together. When you move over to 2X as well as 5X, you cannot use night mode. So that's a limitation that only limits it to 1X. So it kind of loses it when it comes to night mode with portrait mode. Whereas the others, you do get a bit more flexibility. But for me, in terms of outright performance and flexibility, it's gonna be the Galaxy S24 Ultra all the way, because you're able to do it through all the modes. So when we go to 2X, you can see that it performs really well in terms of the improved performance for night mode with portrait mode together. So does the Pixel 9 Pro XL, and the colors are great and the image quality, yep. But for portrait mode and edge detection and performance, yeah, the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Even going into the 3X zoom range with night mode, it improves it greatly for the S24 Ultra. And the fact that it's allowing you to do it with night mode through all the ranges, this is one of the benefits. And again, color processing aside for the 5X zoom lens, it does still allow you to do the night mode and portrait mode together, and the blur and the edge detection is actually really good. So in fact, portrait mode with night mode all the way through is the S24 Ultra for this particular round. Let's now activate the flash for portrait mode, and this is where you're going to get the maximum flexibility in low light with portrait mode on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, because it allows you to do it in a 1X, 2X, and a 5X. All of them are looking really good, but I would say the image quality on the Pixel and the Galaxy S24 Ultra is definitely the way to go. I would say the S24 Ultra for the field of view, because obviously the Pixel crops, but the performance between them two is definitely preferred compared to what you're seeing on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. But iPhone 15 Pro Max is doing decent nonetheless. Now, when we move over to the 2X zoom range, here is one caveat that you're going to get on a Samsung. There is still a bug with doing the 2X with portrait mode and the flash together. It blurs out the image and it does an extended zoom. I don't know what's going on with the camera system on the Samsung, but it does this in certain flash instance mode, and it does this with the 2X and portrait mode. So this is why it's still on the 1X, because the 2X portrait image is blurred out and zoomed out. So it's just a weird experience. And it was doing this from time to time, not just with the 3X, but also with the 5X. We managed to capture one of them to work, but with the 2X, it just wasn't working. So it eliminates Samsung out of the game when it comes to this one. And in this particular situation, it's really just down to the fact that the Pixel is really looking good, and then followed by the iPhone 15 Pro Max. When we move over to the 3X zoom range, it is pretty much a very similar story. Although the blur and the edge detection is looking really good on the S24 Ultra, this is something where the overall image quality is good on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. If we judge it based on portrait mode performance, yes, the Galaxy S24 Ultra, then the iPhone 15 Pro Max, then the Pixel 9 Pro XL. But I think most people will prefer the look of the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Now we'll go to the 5X zoom with the portrait flash. Again, it wasn't really nailing on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, and we were still getting bugs with it actually zooming out and blurring. So this is the best that we got from it. So it would be the iPhone 15 Pro Max that actually nails it for 5X zoom using portrait and flash together. Okay, we've analyzed the pictures for the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Now time to get into the video section. Now the best way to watch this section of the camera comparison is on the largest display possible at the highest resolution and frame rate at 4K 60 with headphones on so you can hear the audio switching. Of course, there is going to be chapters linked in the description below, but of course, sit back, relax, because this is going to be a detailed one when it comes to video. We are now recording on the front-facing camera in 4K UHD 60 FPS on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. We're just seeing how the image quality is like, colors, detail, sharpness, dynamic range, because we do actually have a bit of sun out here, and of course, video stabilization. Let's do a quick run. We're still recording on the front-facing camera in 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode on a Pixel 9 Pro XL, iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. We're just seeing how the image quality is like. Sharpness, colors, detail, dynamic range, and of course video stabilization. Let's do a quick run. We're still recording on the front-facing camera in the 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode on a Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. The difference here is, with the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra, it is shooting in their respective video portrait mode. Cinematic on the iPhone with a default f-stop of 4.5 simulated, and the blur intensity on the Galaxy S24 Ultra at the default setting of 5. Still, Google haven't enabled this feature for the front-facing camera, so you're limited. You can't do the background blur at the same time. So it's something to consider when it comes to these flagship features. You can do cinematic blur, but it's still limited to the rear camera, and it's still just 1080p. Now, of course, the benefit of the Galaxy is that you can stop recording and continue on the same clip. You can't take pictures though in cinematic mode, but you can change the blur intensity down to 0, all the way up to the maximum 7, back to 5. Change the blur types, big circle, color point, glitch, and the standard. Now the iPhone doesn't actually allow you to change this while you're recording, but you can change it before you start recording, and even after you finish recording, you can go in and change the blur intensity and the blur points. You can't do that on the Samsung. So here are the benefits, and this is again something that is completely missing on the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL still. We are now recording in 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode on the rear cameras for the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. We're just seeing how the image quality is like. Sharpness, detail, clarity, colors, dynamic range, and of course video stabilization. Let's do a quick run. Now let's switch to the ultra wide. All these cameras do allow you to do continuous lens switching on the rear cameras in 4K 30. Let's do a quick run. Let's go to 2x, 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 and we're going to do a steady walk.
Tech going on. Got tech going on.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, absolutely. Love the support from the general public, man. We're gonna go into the 3x zoom mode. This is gonna optically favor the Galaxy S23 Ultra. Sorry, Galaxy S24 Ultra. We're going to do a steady walk. And we're going to do 5x, which now optically favors all of them. And we're going to come back to 1x. 1x. Now, when it comes to the flexibility in terms of recording and lens switching without stopping recording, all of them, as you can see, do allow you to switch between them without stopping. The iPhone doesn't allow you to pause recording and continue on the same clip. It does allow you to take pictures. The Pixel 9 Pro XL and the Galaxy S24 Ultra do allow you to pause recording and continue on the same clip, but there is one advantage that you do have on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Both can take pictures, but it does allow you to switch to the front-facing camera without stopping recording. This is something Samsung have nailed to perfection on their Galaxy devices for years now, especially in 4K 30, and the Galaxy S24 Ultra really demonstrates this well. The others, you do have to stop and then flip it, you can continue recording on the same clip on the S24 Ultra. We are now recording in the 4K UHD 60 FPS mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. We're just seeing how the image quality is like. Colors, detail, sharpness, clarity, dynamic range, and video stabilization in a higher frame rate at 4K 60. Let's do a quick run. Let's switch to the ultra wide again. You get the ability to record continuously in 4K 60 while doing lens switching. We're now on the ultra wide. And let's do a quick run. Again, let's switch to the 2x mode. 2x, 2x. This is doing a digital crop of the main wide sensor. And we're just doing a steady walk. We're now going to switch to the 3x zoom lens. This is, of course, going to optically favor what you're seeing on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. And we're going to do a steady walk. Let's do a 5x zoom. And we're doing a steady walk. And we're going to stop. We're going to come back to the 1x, 1x, 1x. Again, same as before, in 4K 30, the same benefits and the limitations are there. With the iPhone, you can't stop recording and continue on the same clip. You can take pictures. With the Pixel, you can obviously pause recording, continue on the same clip and take pictures, switch between all the lenses at the back. The Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra gives you the maximum flexibility of being able to switch between all the lenses at the back, take pictures, and also pause recording and continue. And of course, flip to the front-facing camera. Now, at the time of this recording still for 2024, the Galaxy S24 Ultra specifically is the only camera system that gives you this level of flexibility for the rear cameras in 4K 30 and 4K 60 and flip into the selfie while recording on the same clip. This is incredible. They limited this on the S24 Plus and S24, which I don't like, but on the Ultra, this is Ultra for sure. Good luck, Samsung. We are now recording in the 8K 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Of course, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is limited to 4K 30, but there is a catch. The 8K 30 is not a native recording on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. This is using the video boost feature, whereas the Galaxy S24 Ultra is natively doing this, and it is compatible on the 5x zoom as well as the 1x main sensor on both the Pixel 9 Pro XL and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Let's do a quick run. We're still recording in the 8K 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL and the Galaxy S24 Ultra, still on 4K 30 on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. We've now gone into the 5x optical zoom sensor on all three devices. And again, obviously the Galaxy S24 Ultra is doing this natively, which is impressive, while the Pixel 9 Pro XL is using Video Boost. So when connected to Wi-Fi, it does have to actually send it to the cloud for it to process. We're back recording in the 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. What we're doing this time is actually using the video boost option. And what I'm noticing with the video boost option is this is not compatible with the ultra wide. This was the same with the 8K video boost mode. It only showed the compatibility for the 1X and the 5X, but not the ultra wide. It does have enough resolution at 48 megapixels to do this, but they've just not enabled it. Let's do a quick run. Let's see if it does allow us to do continuous recording and switching. Yes, it does. The 2X option does show. And we're gonna move this here and just do a steady walk. 2X, we're still using a video boost option here on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Let's go to 3X and see if it does give us a 3X option. Yes, it does. We're going to do a steady walk. And then 5X. And we're going to come back to the 1X. 1X. We're now recording in the 4K 60 FPS video recorder mode in the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. We are now still using the video boost feature on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. It's great to see that it works at 60 FPS in 4K, as well as obviously the 8K recording mode. So this is a great improvement. But again, video boost is something that has to be set to the cloud when you're next connected to Wi-Fi. Let's see the improvements it gives. And again, there's still no option to do this on the ultra wide angle camera, just the 1X, the 2X crop mode, as well as the 5X optical. Let's do a quick one to see the stabilization. One is the 2X mode. Three X. And we're going to go into 5X. And 1X. 1X. Let's showcase the maximum extended zoom range on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. We're going to start from the 0.5 ultra wide and go to the 1X. Go to 2X. Go to 5X. We're then going to go to 10X. Then we're going to go to 20X, raise this up, just to make sure that we're seeing the text. And we're going to come back to the 1X. Let's do the maximum extended zoom range on a Pixel 9 Pro XL 4K 30, but this time with video boost on. And as stated, with video boost, there isn't the option to do this with the ultra wide. We're starting with the 1X. 2x, 5x, 10x. Just gonna raise this slightly. And a maximum 20x. I'm gonna raise this slightly. And back to 1x. Let's look at the maximum extended zoom range for video on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. 4K 30. Start with the 0.5 ultra wide. 1x. 2x. 5x. 10x. 15x. And back to 1x. Let's look at the maximum extended zoom range for video, 4K 30 for the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Let's start in the 0.6 ultra wide. 1x. 2x. 3x. 5x. 10x. And the maximum for video, 20x. And back to 1x. We are now in the super steady mode, the action stabilization mode equivalent across the board for the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. It's unfortunate to see that the Pixel 9 Pro XL hasn't really improved this feature at all. It's just limited to the 1x and 2x mode. There is no ultra wide or 5x zoom mode. And also it's still stuck on 1080p. There's no 60 FPS option, just 30 FPS. On the other hand, with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, we know that they really pioneered this one well. 2.8K. It does it in 30 and 60 FPS as you're seeing right now. And it does show the option for the ultra wide, which is 0.5x, 1, 2, and 5x. The Galaxy S24 Ultra does do this in 1440p QHD, so this is good, above 1080p. It does this in the ultra wide as well as the 1x and the 2x. So you can see the options are pretty much given right there. Let's do a super fast run. Running it back again, we've now switched to the 1x mode for both the Galaxy S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and still 1x for the Pixel 9 Pro XL, which I'm guessing is probably the ultra wide cropped in, but we'll check it later. Let's do a run. Still in action, super steady mode. We've now gone into the 2x crop mode across the board, and let's do a run. We're still in their respective action mode as well as super steady mode. The iPhone is the only one that does allow you to actually optically zoom in with the 5x. Now, you can see with the Pixel, it does allow you to zoom in up to 20x, but I just wouldn't recommend it because it's all digital and it's 1080p. So yeah, the Galaxy S24 Ultra only allows you to go to a maximum 2x. Let's do a run. We are now recording in a 4K 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the rear cameras with me in the frame as the subject on a Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. We're just seeing how the image quality is like with the environment and with me in the frame as the subject. Let's switch to the ultra wide, a 0.5 and a 0.6 across the board. Just gonna move a bit closer and then come back, just seeing how the focusing and the transition is. Then we're going to come back to the 1x. We are now recording still in a 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode with the rear cameras on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. We've gone into the 2x crop mode to see how the image quality is like on the 2x crop and the main wide sensor with me in the frame as the subject, as well as handling the environment. We're still recording in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. We've now gone into the 3x zoom mode. Now this is optically favoring the Galaxy S24 Ultra, whereas the Pixel 9 Pro XL and the iPhone 15 Pro Max are still doing a digital crop and the main wide sensor. Let's see the image quality difference with me in the frame as the subject, as well as handling the environment. Recording in a 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recording mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. We've now gone into the 5x optical zoom mode with me the frame as the subject, handling the environment, just to see how the image quality is like across the board. We are now recording in a 4K UHD 60 FPS mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. And obviously we're in the 1x mode at the moment, just seeing how it handles with me in the frame as the subject, as well as the environment. Let's switch to the ultra wide with the 0.5 and a 0.6. Gonna step close. See how the focus is like, the ultra wide perspective. And we're gonna come back to the 1X. We're still recording in the 4K UHD 60 FPS mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. We've now gone into the 2X crop mode and we're just seeing how it handles with me in the frame as the subject. We're still recording in the 4K UHD 60 FPS mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. We've now gone into the 3X zoom mode, and this is again optically favoring the S24 Ultra, whereas the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Pixel 9 Pro XL are still doing a digital crop and a main wide sensor. Let's see how the image quality is like. We've gone into the 5X optical zoom mode. We're just seeing how the image quality is like. We're now recording in the 8K 30 FPS video recorder mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Of course, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is just limited to 4K. But in this particular situation, 8K only works in the new video boosted mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, whereas the S24 Ultra is actually shooting this natively. We're still recording in the 8K video recorder mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, 4K 30, and the S24 Ultra natively 8K 30. This is on a 5X zoom mode, and this is what's compatible. Let's see how the image quality is like with the video boost. We're now recording in the video portrait mode on the rear cameras for the Pixel 9 Pro XL, Galaxy S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Again, the advantage that you get with the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra is they do this in 4K. So the clarity is going to be better. And of course, there is a 2X mode, but we're just going to stick to the 1X now and kind of run through it. The Pixel 9 Pro XL, it hasn't improved this feature. It's still stuck at 1080p, and there isn't any flexibility in what you can really do. Yes, you can change the blur before you start recording, but during the recording and after, it's limited. Now, the iPhone allows you to actually change the blur intensity and the blur points after you finish recording, but the Samsung, while you're recording, is the real star of the show. What you do have is the ability to change the blur intensity. So the default is 5. You can actually completely remove it and turn it down to 0 as you're recording, right? So it actually looks like a normal video. You can go all the way up to the maximum intensity, which is blur number 7. So again, you can see that it really has that benefit. You can bring it back to the standard, which is 5. But again, like I showed with the selfie, you still have the option to change it to the different recording modes. So you've got the standard one that you can go to, like big circle, as well as the other two, which is glitch, and I forgot what the other one is, but regardless, you can actually record through the different ones and change them while you're recording. So back to the standard 5, this is the benefit of video portrait mode. It emulates that kind of look of a full frame camera continuously, and I really wish Google had improved this, brought this up to 4K, and just allowed a bit more flexibility. We're still recording in the video portrait mode across the board on all these devices, but with the iPhone and the Samsung, you get the option to do it in 2X while still retaining the 4K video quality. This is something that you cannot do on a Pixel 9 Pro XL. We're still recording in the video portrait mode, and this time we have actually gone into the 3X zoom mode. Now again, this is a digital crop on both the S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, for the longest time, I actually thought this was using a 3X optical zoom on the S24 Ultra, but it isn't. It's doing a crop still on a main wide sensor. Samsung, please update this for it to use the 3X sensor, just like it could back in the day with the S21 Ultra and the S22 Ultra. We've now gone into the 4K 30 FPS mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, iPhone 15 Pro Max, S24 Ultra, but this time we're doing the video boost feature, pretty much seeing how the image quality is like in terms of improving it through video boost on the Pixel 9 Pro XL with me in the frame as the subject. We're We're still recording in a 4K 30 FPS video recorder mode, Pixel 9 Pro XL, iPhone 15 Pro Max and S24 Ultra. 2x crop mode, we're still using a video boost feature on a Pixel 9 Pro XL. Still recording in a 4K 30 FPS video recorder mode on a Pixel 9 Pro XL, iPhone 15 Pro Max and S24 Ultra. We've gone into the 5x zoom mode. This is still using video boost on a Pixel 9 Pro XL. We are now recording in the 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. We're just seeing how the low light performance is with the rear cameras. Just bringing that up just to see how the lens flaring is like with the street lamps. Let's switch to ultra wide. Let's go to times two, times two, times two. Go over to times three. And times five. We're still recording in a 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode in the Pixel 9 Pro XL, iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. But this time we've actually tapped into the night sight video mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. This is again using the video boost feature, so this is not native performance on the device. This is going to be pushed to the cloud and video boost is going to be tapped in to help it. Again, there's no option for this with the ultra wide. We just have the 1x, 2x, 5x. Let's go to 2x, 2x, 2x. We're just gonna jump straight to the 5x for this one, just to save a bit of time. Back to 1x. So we're now recording in a 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on a Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. We're just seeing how the low light performance is like with me in the frame as the subject and the environment around. We're still recording in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. This time with the Pixel 9 Pro XL, we've activated the night sight video mode, which again, as stated, is using a video boost feature. So this is not native. You will need to connect to the cloud backup and let it allow it to, do the video boost. But again, it might take some time, so just consider that for this feature. We are now recording in the video portrait mode respectively across the board for all these cameras for the Pixel 9 Pro XL, iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Of course, as stated before from what we saw with the daylight, the iPhone and the Samsung do allow you to do this in 4K UHD 30 frames per second. Pixel is limited to 30 FPS. We're just going to keep it on the main wide sensor for low light. And in the past with these camera comparisons, I've noticed Samsung really does well in low light for background blur for video. The iPhone tends to struggle without light, and even with the flash on and everything, it's just something it does in the text world. So I would say that probably it's going to be the Samsung that is looking the strongest in this particular situation. We're now recording on a front-facing camera in 4K UHD 30 frames per second on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, iPhone 15 Pro Max, and also the Galaxy S24 Ultra. And we're just seeing how the low light performance is like with the front-facing cameras. Let's do a quick summary analysis breakdown of the video performance across the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. I'll definitely say focusing on the Pixel 9 Pro XL being the new phone here, what they've done to the selfie is something I'm so impressed with when it comes to the video stabilization, the field of view especially, and the dynamic range and clarity. It's probably one of my favorite looking selfies for video right now, especially on someone with my skin tone. Google knocked it out of the park. There are some caveats though. Video portrait mode with the background blur effect is still not available on the selfie camera. And again, video portrait mode in general is still limited to 1080p 24 FPS, no 4K option, and the flexibility with just adjusting the blur during, before, and after is just nowhere near as good as what you're getting on the Galaxy S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max as demonstrated. And also another caveat, when it comes to the voice enhancement or the speech enhancement, this is still limited to what you're getting at 30 FPS. Can't do it at 60 FPS, so there's been no improvement there. So if you're someone that wants that better noise reduction and voice clarity on the Pixels, you're gonna have to limit yourself to 4K 30, and if you prefer 4K 60, it's just not something that's available. So hopefully Google improves on it from there. For the rear cameras, video flexibility across all of them is really good, and I love the fact that these flagship phones have really started to take the usability seriously on 4K 60, being able to switch between all the lenses at the back while still recording and not having to stop to switch them. It looks like it's a thing of the past, and we gotta give Google props for that, because they're the ones that pioneered that with the Pixel 7 Pro, and the others have caught up. But in fact, Samsung have taken it to the next level, as demonstrated. The most flexible camera to record in 4K 60, switching between all the lenses at the back, being able to stop recording and continue, and then flip into the selfie and back is great. Apple, hopefully for the iPhone 16 Pro Max and the iPhone 16 series, you actually allow us to pause recording and continue on the same clip, as well as flip to the selfie camera and back and recording in 4K 30 and 4K 60. So this is something that is great. Again, the same limitation with the speech and voice enhancer being limited to 30 FPS is there on the Pixel. Video boost. I don't know where to start with video boost. Video boost is an amazing feature, but it's almost like a very, very super crutch feature, right? Where is weird using video boost is, if you, let's just say, select 4K 30, the actual original file is a 1080p file. It's not a 4K file. and then you have to wait for it to upload. And for me, it was just very temperamental. I did the recordings on Monday and it took up until Friday for some to actually work. So that was one issue. And even just transferring them off my phone, putting them on here to do the camera comparison, it was nowhere near as straightforward as I was. Maybe it was just an isolated situation, but Video Boost, it can be very temperamental based on my experience. How it boosts the files, sometimes the bitrate can be ridiculously high in 8K and even 4K and 4K 60, where I was seeing boosted bit rates of up to 600 megabits per second. So the file sizes are huge when it comes to Video Boost, and you can clearly see the improvement is definitely something to be aware of. But I just wish this is something that Google had the power to natively have on the phone, so that you can enjoy the footage. And if not, at least the original files, let them be the quality that you selected in 4K and not 1080p. So that's just Video Boost as a quick summary in that sense. Now, obviously what you get in terms of the flexibility for things like slow motion, definitely a good look on the iPhone, being able to use it on all the lenses. Obviously the Galaxy S24 Ultra gives you the option to do 4K 120, especially when it comes to the ultra wide in Pro mode, where it does it individually and you can slow it down yourself, something I really like. And overall, I'll say the video performance is greatly improved on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, but with the caveat of you're gonna really have to rely on Video Boost to really see the difference. So just bear that in mind. Whereas natively out of the box, what you get on the iPhone is unmatched, and what you're getting in terms of the flexibility, especially shooting native 8K with stabilization and a wide field of view on the S24 Ultra, again, can't be matched. And that is my definitive camera comparison between the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. What did you think of the performance across these three devices? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. That's it for me, Ben from Lover of Tech. If you enjoy videos like this, you know exactly what to do. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're part of Team TLS, the Tech Lover Squad, so you don't miss any future videos on the channel. I hope you're all safe during this time, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.